Hello and welcome to the Business of the Business podcast. I'm your co-host JP Jampaz from the Two Man Power Trip. Of course, joining me is the financial wrestling genius himself, Mr. Lavi Margolin. Lavi, how you doing?
Hey John, I'm doing great. Episode 200, but I'm jittery because I'm excited because this is amazing timing. Episode 200. I think we have our biggest guest yet. Love to welcome Violent J of the Insane Clown Posse and Juggalo Championship Wrestling to the show.
Hey, what's up, y'all? I'm happy to be here, and I want to say thank you for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Man, this is awesome. What an honor. ICP, the best, legendary. But what's going on with you? What's going on in your world? I know you're tackling wrestling, not just as like a side project. I mean, you're really going full force with wrestling with JCW.
Yeah, throughout the years, we've gone full fledged before, but we've had to dial it back when it's time to record a new album or do a tour or whatever. Mostly when we'd have to record a new album, we would have to. My mind would get off of wrestling because I had to. When I'm recording an album, it's pretty much a 24-hour thing. You know what I mean? It's like when I'm not in the studio, I'm writing, and it just consumes my life pretty much when I make an album. When me and Shaggy do an album, we only do an album about once every 2 or 3 years. But it's usually about a year-long process to record it, and we haven't been able to stick with wrestling throughout our career because when we get to recording time, we abandon it. But now we're setting the company up. It is set up actually in a way where I don't need to be there. I don't need to be involved. We have an office and a staff, and we have everything we need to stay full time. And wrestling is my greatest joy. You know what I mean? It's been with me since I was a little kid, and even now as a 52-year-old man, I find relief out of wrestling. You know what I mean? I get comfort out of it. It's the only thing that's been there my whole life. You know what I mean? And so I don't want it to go away this time. I want to see how far we can get. I want to be a top 10 company in this country without question. I don't want any debate about it. I want JCW to be a top 10 company in this country with no debate about it, where nobody would debate it. You know what I mean? And when we're there, I will feel my goal is accomplished because I haven't set this. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. I'm keeping it real. I haven't set a personal goal for myself in a long time. And I wanted to make sure I don't fail it. You know what I'm saying? If I
Oh
do
yeah.
set a goal, because I don't set very many. I've only set like 2 or 3 in my life. And I'm not talking about a goal like I want this car or I'm talking about like a big goal. You know what I mean? Like my first goal was to have a platinum record. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I want to see this company be a top 10 company in the US, and I'm not gonna fail. You know what I mean? If I do fail, I'll know I gave it a hell of an effort, everything I got. You know what I mean? So that's our goal.
How about JCW Lunacy? Tell us about it. Tell us how you feel about the episodes, how they're coming so far.
It's funny because when we were putting them together, I thought they were as tight as could be. But once they come out, I noticed all the mistakes. You know what I'm saying? And that's the same way with music, man. It's the same fucking way with music. We record an album. I like everything. I can't think of anything else I want to do to it. The minute it comes out on that release date, when I put that album in, it's a whole nother. It's a whole nother animal. When there's nothing I can do about it, all of a sudden I hear all the flaws. You know what I mean? But
Yep.
yeah, Lunacy is really the TV show. Lunacy is only 8 episodes, and they're going up on YouTube. There's, I believe, 4 out right now, and after all, what these 8 episodes are is just an introduction to the company. And even though we've been around for a quarter of a century, I this is a new approach because this isn't just for juggalos anymore. This is for all wrestling fans. So it's in a lot of ways it's a rebranding of the company. It's still cutting edge and things like that, but it has a bigger goal. So this is like a rebranding of the company. It's like a relaunch. And Lunacy is to serve as the introduction to that. Is to show you who our main characters are, what our basic storylines are, you know what I mean, with these 8 45-minute episodes. And after those 8 episodes are up and they've all been released, then we switch over and Lunacy becomes a live stream of a full show once a week. And it's live. It's not going to be taped or anything. It's live and it's a full card, like a 2.5 hour, live stream every week. And 3 of the shows will be live stream. And then the 4th show will be a pay-per-view. So we'll have 3 shows, live streams to set up, and then the blow off will be the pay-per-view. And we're gonna do it every month, three live streams and then a pay.
Awesome. It feels like obviously JCW, you've been around forever, but putting together the shows like you're mentioning, that's a whole new ballgame, right? I mean, that's something completely different.
The pay-per-view episodes will be from on the road. They'll be from a different city every time. But the live streams we're gonna shoot right here in Detroit. Not shoot. We're gonna hold the cards right here in Detroit. You know what I mean?
With you and the JCW, it was funny. I saw that you were challenging GCW, FE, and G. You wanted to do like a 2-night show with them, right? That was another thing you had brought up.
That's right, brother. Because GCW is where we want to be. You know what I mean? And we're coming at them with everything we got. Listen, on a realistic level, I love Brett. I love GCW. I'm a huge fan for GCW, and I love them. And I want to be their equal. I want to be where they are one day. You know what I mean? And what better way to do it than to challenge them, right? And have a 2-day war at the Gathering next year, and we're doing it. You know what I mean? It's happening. And what I'm really excited about is we're gonna build up to it all year. You know what I mean? Like that's what I'm really excited about because we're gonna be doing stuff with them leading up to it. And right now things are peaceful. It's been nothing but the challenge laid out and accepted. But I expect things might get ugly before we actually get to the Gathering. You know what I mean? Between us and GCW. But we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully not. But I'm super excited that we're doing this. And it's going to be so cool, you guys. We're going to have the ring in the center, and we're going to have 2 different entrances. Their entrance on one side and our entrance on the other. And there's going to be a big fucking digital scoreboard above the ring. We're going to have 7 matches a night, best of 7, 2 nights, And we're going to do it for real, man. Like our guys versus their guys every match. You know what I mean? And I'm just really excited about it.
It's interesting with like what's going on with GCW and you guys. It just because when you think about ICP, you think about Violent J. You guys have been everywhere. I mean, recently more so we're talking about GCW, but like old school wise, I mean, you guys were everywhere. I mean, you made a footprint in ECW, WWF, WCW, so you're no stranger to kind of like a little bit of cross promotion going on.
Yeah, man, I'm so incredibly proud that we got to do all that. I mean, we literally went everywhere except AEW. And AEW, as long as we've been around, I still consider AEW a fairly new company. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I feel like one day we will touch that canvas. You know what I mean? One day, But that's really the only place we've never been that I'm really wanting to go. You know what I mean? Like the places I really wanted to go, we've been to, or I've been to. Shaggy doesn't want to do wrestling anymore. He doesn't want to go to wrestling anymore because he broke his neck and he broke his back, and he gets there and he gets wild up and he starts fucking doing things. You know what I mean? And he says, I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm staying out of the ring. And then he gets there and he starts doing shit, and then he's hurting again after that. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
He's just like, I need you to stay away from it. So he's helping us with commentary, and he's helping us with the show Lunacy, but he doesn't want to go to the events because he doesn't want to get himself too hyped up and get involved in shit and then get hurt again. You know what I mean?
I guess. Oh yeah.
So I've been kind of going to promotions myself. I went to NWA, I went to MLW, the GCW stuff. I went to AAA, the Triple Mania. I've been doing things myself. You know what I mean? And I went to Japan. I did all this last year. You know, um, or this year. So, but Shaggy, me and Shaggy together, we've been to fucking Ring of Honor, WWE, WCW, ECW, XPW, fucking, we've done them all, man. And we're just so lucky and so blessed that we got to do that, man. And I know it wasn't our wrestling skills that got us there. You know what I mean? But it was our music fame that got us there. But when it comes to paying dues, nobody, nobody can tell us shit about paying dues because ICP paid their fucking dues. You know what I mean? Whether it was in music or in wrestling, we didn't get no shortcuts. We didn't get no breaks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, we literally walked every step up this mountain. We didn't get no ride. We didn't get no ski lift. You know what I mean? And whether that was paying the dues in music, like I said, or in wrestling, you know, we paid dues for years and years and years and years before we had any kind of success. You know what I mean? So I feel like dues need to be paid one way or another, you know, whether
Yes.
it's on the indie circuit or the small club circuit in music, you know. We definitely paid our dues though, man. And I'm just so honored to be there. And I want to tell you guys something. Even though me and Shaggy were wrestlers before we rapped, you know, we were wrestlers in the Midwest, talking way back in 1991, you know. Um, I even though we were wrestlers before we rapped, I still am feel like I'm not one of them. Like I'm in awe around wrestlers, you know, like when I'm around wrestlers, I feel like they're the cool people. And I don't feel like I'm one of them. And it's the same thing in music though. Even in music, you know, if we're on a festival with a bunch of big bands, we don't feel at home. We don't feel part of that. You know, like we're not accepted in the dressing room. You know, I don't know if everybody feels like that, but I do know that I respect wrestlers so much, man. You know, that like I don't want any animosity toward us people saying they don't belong here. You know what I mean? I just wish we could wash that stigma away from us forever because ICP is a fucking wrestling gimmick. You know what I mean? We're a
Yes.
damn tag team, you know? And I don't know why so many people feel we don't belong in wrestling, you know, but I think that's changing. You know what I mean? I think it's changing. I think people don't feel that way as much as they used to back in the day. You know what I mean?
For sure. Lavi, I know you got some good questions.
For sure. So I wanted to go back to the
One more
forthcoming
time.
gathering and talk about the JCW feud.
Is this
Do you
freezing
think,
up here? Oh yeah, it's freezing up.
Violent J, can you hear?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay. So the gathering with JCW against GCW, do you think you'll have to have like two separate sections, sort of like when two rival countries play each other in soccer, maybe back in the day when ROH faced CZW? Do you think the fans can behave and sit together, or is it better to have them like two separate sides of the ring?
Oh yeah, we're gonna have two whole entrances, two separate entrances. They're gonna have their entrance, whatever they bring, probably their LED screens and all that. And we're gonna have our pipe and drape like we've had since '97. You know what I'm saying? We bring pipe and drape. We don't have LED screens and all that shit. We bring pipe and drape, you know, and we're not upgrading. You know what I'm saying? So I love it that we're gonna have two separate entrances, though, you know, and we're gonna have switch referees. You know, one match will be their ref, one match will be ours, one match will be theirs. You know, and even the canvas, even the canvas is gonna be split in half. One half will be a GCW canvas, the other half will be a JCW canvas. You know what I mean? Everything's gonna be fair, right down the middle, except we have the home court advantage. You know, and that's why and that goes a long way because we extra especially have the home court advantage at the Juggalo gathering. You know what I'm saying? That's without a doubt we got the home court advantage because those fans are loud and they're rowdy, and plus, our shows, you know, they happen at night. A lot of people kind of clown on the fact that our wrestling shows happen at 2 in the morning at the Gathering and shit. But, and I'm not saying this one's gonna happen at 2 in the morning, but what I'm saying is people don't understand that the Gathering is a night event. Like the main stage doesn't get over with until 1 in the morning. You know what I mean? So these juggalos, man, they sleep during the day. It's too fucking hot, you know. So at night it's a night event, and you know when you read about the Gathering after it happened, and these wrestlers are talking about how they had to wrestle at 2 in the morning, it sounds bad on paper, but when you're there, that's the hypest time you can have a show. That's prime time at the Gathering. You know what I mean? It really is.
No, I was fortunate to come across a Greg Valentine shoot interview yesterday, and like sometimes based on his career, certain things he'll have certain things to say about people, but like for you guys, it was all like he was all smiles. He's like, they treated me great. He's like, the only thing was I had to run from the match to the airport, and I took a shower at the airport because it finished so late. But he was happy. He said you treated him like gold.
Yeah, man, we take care of the wrestlers. There's never, I'm proud to say that in our 27-year history, we've never not paid a wrestler what we told them they were going to make. You know what I mean? We've never had to pay anybody any less. We're good to the wrestlers because we came up on an independent scene, and I know what that's like. I know what that's like to drive to St. Louis expecting to get $200 and only getting 40 and not having the money to get back. You know what I'm saying? I know what that's like, and we'll never put a wrestler in that position, you know. And JCW is good to. I think we're good to our wrestlers. You know, I always like to have a nice locker room with cold water and cold drinks, and I like to have food for the guys. I like to provide that kind of stuff because I love wrestlers, and I want them to have a good time at our event. You know, not everybody does. You know what I mean? But you know, what are you gonna do? We do the best we can for them. You know, we've had, as far as I know, we've had the biggest Legends show in the world. Now listen, I know that sounds crazy. I know that sounds crazy. But listen to what I'm saying. I think we may have had the biggest Legends show in history. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. I'm not talking about a convention where people are signing autographs. I'm talking about as far as competing wrestlers. We had a Legends show called Legends and Icons that's so fucking big. We had more wrestlers than we knew what to do with. We had to have 8-man tags and fucking Royal Rumble type matches and things because we had so much talent. We had to fit everybody into that ring. And man, and I'm proud of this because I love Legends. I grew up watching these guys. And as far as I know, we had the biggest Legends show in history as far as active competitors, the number of Legends there. And I'm telling you right now, I look for this shit. And I hope to be schooled. I hope for 2 reasons. Number one, I hope one day somebody says, well, you don't know about this show. Check this out. This happened in Mexico, or this happened in Japan. And show us a Legends show bigger than the one we did. Because number one, I want to see it. I'm a huge fan and I love Legends shows. You know what I mean? But number two, I've been bragging about that for so long. It'll finally shut me the fuck up if I hear of another Legends show with more active competitors. But as far as I know, JCW may have had the biggest Legends show in history. And I mean that.
So, in terms of the wrestling side at the Gathering, what was the wildest moment? Was that when Tracy Smothers got the crowd to start throwing bottles at him? Is there anything else that comes close?
The madness, brother. The madness. See, the weird thing about juggalos is it's like a bubble. Things happen in the juggalo world, and they incredibly stay in the juggalo world. You know what I mean? But they are things that I feel would go hugely viral if they were to be seen elsewhere. You know what I mean? Because it really is a bubble that happens in the juggalo world. Brother, we have seen shit happen, mind-blowing shit. Like, let me just say this, like, okay, number one, people being in no condition to perform. Oh man, we've had some mega stars who are in every condition to perform until 20 minutes later they're in no condition to perform. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not gonna name any names, but man, we have seen pure wildness at the gathering, brother. I one time Kamala was in the ring, and somehow he got his hands on a blunt, and he lit a blunt and hit it, and he grabbed the microphone and started singing his blues songs. All my life I've been watching Kamala. I've never seen him sing like that. And you know, we one time, shit, man, one time we were driving around at the gathering. It was me in a huge convoy with about 25 wrestlers. We were all on golf carts. And we went to the ring and we started having an impromptu 10-man tag team. There was 10 guys on each side. You know what I mean? And we started having this match in the middle of the night, like 4 a.m. And we started having this match, and more juggalos started crowding around the ring. You know what I mean? And just on the fly, nothing was planned. We just started doing it. Everybody was drunk or whatever. And I'm going to tell you this, man. Norman Smiley got in there, and we did this spot where all of our team started chopping Norman Smiley one after another. 10 guys chopping him, and then tagged to another guy chopping him. Went through all of our team. Then Norman Smiley's own team started chopping him. He took the chops of 20 men that night. You know what I'm saying? I mean, some wild shit has happened, man. And we have something called flashlight wrestling, which is there are no lights on the ring except for 4 spotlights on all 4 sides of the ring. There's like a spotlight on them, and the whole crowd has flashlights. And that effect on the ring looks so cool. You know what I mean? It looks really cool with all the spotlights and the flashlights on the ring and no light above them, you know? And I think that looks really cool. And we just do a lot of really wild stuff, you know? I think we have one of the best electric cage matches in wrestling. I've never seen an electric cage that looks better than ours, you know, with sparks raining down it and shit. When you hit the side, it lights up and the ropes are neon. And we just do some cool shit. And it breaks my heart because after the gathering, we don't see it nowhere. You know, and I think some of these clips would go viral because they're so unusual looking. And but once again, it's like this bubble we live in, and the stuff just stays within the juggler world, and that's fine with me, man. You know what I mean? But sometimes I wish other people saw what the wildness that's happening at the gathering. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that actually reminds me, I was watching the first episode on YouTube of Legacy, and you had this impassioned speech where you're really talking about all the things that were accomplished in wrestling, especially like for me loving numbers, the attendances that you've gotten and how it equaled ECW at the time, but like you weren't getting the respect. So like what motivated you to say that, and like how does that drive you now?
Well, the first thing is my point about that ECW thing was, you know, I realize now that I probably shouldn't have said that because I don't want to come off bitter. You know, we've been ignored by the wrestling media in the past, but when I cut that promo, I didn't realize there's a reason, a legit reason why we were ignored back then, because the product was so fucking crazy back then. You know what I mean? It really was like an acquired taste. You know what I mean? I mean, it really was, especially back then. So, you know, I came off kind of bitter in that promo, but I shouldn't have came off that way because I'm really very proud of the way things have gone, and I understand why we've always been so underground, you know. But my point about the thing was we drew 4,500 people to the rave in Milwaukee, and this is an independent promotion. You know what I mean? This was not a show that was doubled up as a concert. This was just a wrestling show, and we put 4,500 people. And I remember after that show, there was Nothing about it. Anywhere in on the websites. This is back when there were websites everywhere. There was nothing about it. And 2 weeks later, ECW came and they also drew 4,000 something at the same exact building. And it was everywhere. It was huge news at the time. ECW does this pay-per-view in Milwaukee and they drew over 4,000 and it was just everywhere. And I thought, damn, man, we did that 2 weeks ago and we didn't get a blip of coverage, you know what I mean? And but now looking back, I understand why our shit was crazy. It really was. It was probably a little too crazy. You know, some of our humor hasn't aged well. You know what I mean? Things like that. You know, but that was then. This is now, and you know, I'm proud of what we did. But I don't feel that way anymore. I don't feel like we're being ignored anymore. I mean, look, we're talking to you guys. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like wrestling is shutting us out anymore. I don't feel like that anymore.
No, and it's a pleasure to talk. So, who is working full time or concentrating on the promotion now that allows you to do what you need to do? I think Kerry Morton was in one of the press releases. I know he does some work for the NWA. Also, Joe Gowdy. Who's behind the scenes?
Kerry Morton is one of our main guys. The Backseat Boys are also on the team, and Caleb Conley is that's our office pretty much. You know, we also have help from guys that help us write TV that I can't say who they are because they're under contract to other promotions. They're not supposed to be doing that. You know what I'm saying? And they're not supposed to be helping us, so we have to keep it on the low. You know what I mean? But I'm really proud to have that person's involvement as well. You know what I mean? He's a great friend of mine, and yeah, man. But that's the office. The office is pretty much Kerry Moore, Backseat Boys, and Tommy and JP, and I believe the last name is Grayson, and Caleb Conley. That's pretty much us. You know what I mean?
One of the things that I thought made a lot of sense, which you don't see in wrestling so much, you really see it more in music, is a lot of times, you know, promotion will have a show or two and then fly everyone back and then come back somewhere else and fly them back and come back somewhere else. But your shows in October, they're every night. From October 23rd to 31st. And I'm assuming, you know, everyone goes on the tour bus, travels together. You don't have to fly everyone in and out, and you just build momentum as you go.
Yeah, we've always done it like that because we're so well, what's the word? Ingrained in touring. Like we have got touring down to a science because of ICP. You know what I mean? And we've got so many connections in touring that we've taken JCW on tour right from the start. JCW has been a touring promotion nationwide, you know, and we would go on a tour and we would do 25 cities, you know, and mostly the guys that come to Detroit, park their car or fly into Detroit, get on the buses, and then go on the tour and then come back to Detroit when it's over and fly out. You know what I mean? It's the most inexpensive way for us to do it, and we go every night. You know what I mean? And try to put the weekend shows in bigger towns and the weekday shows in smaller towns because sometimes you go to these smaller towns on a Tuesday or Wednesday night and you pack them because there's nothing going on. You know what I mean? And they're happy you're there. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's that's one thing we definitely do is we tour. You know, we tour. JCW tours like a band, and the other thing JCW does is we play rock venues. You know, because rock venues already got sweet lighting in them. They got sweet sound systems in them. We don't set chairs up around the ring. We have like a concert barricade around the ring. You know what I'm saying? And if you want to sit down, there's plenty of areas to sit down, you know, but it's usually standing room only around the ring. And it has like a concert feel. The music is really loud. And yeah, it's we play rock venues all the time. We never play like a VFW or something like that. You know what I mean? And I like it like that. It's different. It's different. And we can usually rely on a cool looking venue. You know what I mean? With proper lighting and all that shit. You know.
Sure. In terms of business, I'm like, okay, you do these 8 shows. I'm sure there's certain like expectations in mind. Like if we draw this amount, we're doing really well. If we hit a little bump, is this sort of like, do you have your hand on the dial? Like if you see the momentum building, like you could put more resources into it, or it's just sort of like you're committed, full steam ahead, and let's just see what happens.
Well, for this particular tour, there's no problem because it's the ICP tour as well. You know what I mean? ICP is playing after wrestling. So we're doing really well on tickets. You know what I mean? We haven't toured. ICP hasn't done any kind of tour in like 2 years now, maybe 3. We still play festivals all the time, and we play our annual events. And we've taken JCW out on like 3-day or 4-day runs. You know what I mean? But this tour, we're gonna do good because of the concerts we're doing. You know what I mean? And we're having the wrestling before the. Now you can watch them live, and the last one is the pay-per-view. You know what I mean? But we've always been a touring label. I mean, a touring promotion. You know, I like doing it that way. You get the guys there, and there's nothing I enjoy more than sitting in the back of the bus with those guys and coming up with the card. You know what I mean? Coming up with the next day's show and shit. I love it, man. That's when I'm in pure ecstasy, riding in the back of the bus, having just done a show, and we're riding to the next town. Everybody's excited, and we're putting together the matches and storylines and all that for the next day. And I love that shit. That's when I'm probably most happiest. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So in terms of distribution, with this pay-per-view, but also when it goes to the monthly model, is it going to be first 3 weeks on YouTube, and then how is it going to be distributed? Is it like Triller, or how can someone buy it?
Well, you can get it on Title Match, on the streaming site called Title Match, or you can get it on YouTube. You can get the pay-per-view. I mean, you can get the streams right on YouTube on our channel, Psychopathic Records, on our YouTube channel, or you can get it on Title Match, the live streams. And also several wrestling websites are going to show it at the same time too, So it'll be airing sites. It'll be airing on Psychopathic Records YouTube channel. It'll be airing on Title Match. But as for the pay-per-view, the actual pay-per-view, it's called Devil's Night, October 30th. That show will just be on pay-per-view on Psychopathic Records YouTube channel. Basically, you go to it and you click the button. You know what I'm saying? And you can get the YouTube. I mean, you can get the pay-per-view. But we don't want to make it hard or difficult, to get the pay-per-view. We just want it to be simple, right on regular YouTube. You know what I mean?
No, that makes a lot of sense because, for years we've been hearing like with AEW, like Bleacher Report, and people are like, I can't get the app, it's not working, or this couldn't hold the capacity. But YouTube, hundreds of millions of people are watching it any one moment anyway. And you've always been like very obviously groundbreaking in terms of the way that you distribute. So you have a very popular platform. So you speak to that audience, and then you bring in more through wrestling.
Well, I'll be honest with you, man. We talked to several different streaming platforms. We talked to Triller, and those guys are down to have the product, right? But sometimes it's almost like when you're talking to them, we feel like they're trying to talk us out of going there. Like they're like, listen, we just want you to know we're really late on payments and things like that, But the thing with Title Match is really excited to work with us. Like they were really excited. And once my manager told me that, once Billy told me that Title Match is really gung-ho about working with us, I was sold on them right from that. Because that's what we want. We want somebody I don't care if they're a smaller streaming site even, because we can grow together. We can grow together. You know what I mean? But as long as your home is excited to have you there, They're proud to have you there. That's where we want to be. I don't want to go to the biggest one when the biggest one isn't sounding excited to have us. I feel like we just get lost in the shuffle, you know? But on a smaller site where they're super excited about building something, that's where we belong, you know? Our whole roster is like that. I feel like there has to be camaraderie amongst your locker room. There has to be camaraderie amongst your there has to be camaraderie amongst your roster, because if everybody if everybody's already a star, nobody really has nothing to gain. But if there are guys on your roster that are stars pretty much only in your promotion, you know, every promotion, what I'm trying to say is every promotion should have its own homegrown stars. Because if you do, those stars are gonna bust ass for you. Because if your promotion blows up, they gain from it. They have something to gain from it. But if all you're doing is bringing in people that are already names, you know, your locker room probably really don't care. You know what I mean? If about the promotion, it's more like they're there to get the payday. You know what I mean? I love having guys that are homegrown stars, you know, that are guys that have been wrestling for us for years and they get really, really excited when we're putting on shows. I love that. I love that energy. I love that camaraderie in the dressing room. Everybody's excited. Everybody's proud. That's what I want in JCW. I don't want to use all names and guys that honestly could give a fuck less. I'm not saying anybody that's a name don't care, you know, because we use names too. We got Cole Cabana, and Cole Cabana loves JCW. You know, he's truly one of our biggest assets. You know what I mean? And he's everywhere, but he's a JCW soldier throughout. And I think it's important. Like ECW had that in the beginning. They had this camaraderie in the locker room where if the promotion goes, they all go with it. You know what I mean? And that's why they're out there. There's a brotherhood amongst the guys, and they're out there killing each other because if the promotion wins, they win. You know what I mean? And that's important, man. Because if your team, if your roster don't really care about the promotion itself, it shows, man. It shows all over the place. So like I kind of keep my eye on things. Like I'll ask everybody in the locker room, hey, we're asking everybody to please post about tonight and tomorrow's shows on your social media. You know, we might say something like that, right? And I'm keeping my eye on that. You know what I mean? And if I see guys that never post, you know what I mean? I'm like, I take note of that. You know what I mean? Like, because they really don't care. You know what I mean? And then other guys make a huge deal about it on their socials. And those are the guys I'm going to keep using. You know what I mean? Because I want guys that are proud to be here and actually care where they're working. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and love it with Title Match Network. Terry from Title Match is a friend of the show. In terms of having weekly live shows, you know, sometimes people have different commitments and so on. Are you looking at like sort of first priority contracts where you know that you know the person will need to work somewhere else if they're doing this full time, but like where you know, okay, you're committed on the night we're taping it and you'll be there, or do you think just the relationships are there that if somebody gives you their word, it's good?
Yeah, we don't really do contracts, you know. Contract. Okay, for example, Joe Galley does our promotion, our play-by-play, right? Joe Galley from NWA does our play-by-play, and
Yes. Mhm.
I'm worried that once we really start kicking the door in, I'm afraid Billy Corgan's gonna take him away from us. You know what I'm saying? Because Joe Galley is the shit. You know what I mean? And you know, the way I understand it, I think Billy might have him under contract. You know, things like that I worry about. Also, the Southern Six. You know, like I don't think they would do that, but you never know. You know what I mean? If we became a real threat, as far as popularity and everything to NWA, you know, they could pull guys off our show. They could pull the Southern Six. They could pull Joe Galley, and that would suck. You know what I mean? So I understand why companies are putting guys under contract, but I don't even know if we would ever do that. I honestly, I don't want to bind anybody here. If somebody I want people to be able to work somewhere else. You know what I mean? I want them to be able to get that money. I don't want to restrict anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioned NWA and Morton and Galley, because I've been watching and thinking about it for a while. Like I feel like everyone has a different personality, but in some ways, you and Billy Corgan are alike in that you're just so passionate about what you love, which outwardly is music and wrestling, and you've worked together. What's your relationship with Billy, and like how has it grown?
We're cool. I was there for a couple months. Um, I'm glad we're friends. I know this, man. When you go see an NWA, okay, when I worked for NWA and I get there early and I'm in the building and you see Billy Corgan giving orders and running the show, he is in his fucking element. You know what I'm saying? He is in his element. And I know that when I'm doing my shit, I'm in my element. You know what I mean? And so I like to watch him at those NWA shows because I see a lot of myself in what he's doing. You know what I mean? And I think he might see a lot of himself in what we're doing. You know what I mean? But they're their promotion, we're ours, and I tried to link up with them actually. When I first came back into wrestling, I was working for NWA, and I had a lot of respect for them. And I offered, I said, listen, Billy, JCW's about to really fire up and really get going. I said, how do you feel about us being a like a B league for y'all? Like almost like we could be your NXT or something. You know what I mean? Like you got, like we could be your training ground or something. Or if you want to get guys time on the road, you can tell me who you want me to use and I'll use them. That type of thing. Have like a business relationship together. You know what I mean? But Billy wasn't interested. And for whatever reason, that's fine with me. You know what I mean? I'm actually glad we didn't go that route now because now I'm really out to prove ourselves. You know what I mean? And if we were just locked into something where we're number two to them, I might not have that much incentive to want to grow. You know what I mean? But right now, I want to grow. We're about to grow and we're growing. You know what I mean? I love Billy though,
Speak.
man. I love Billy. He put it this way. This is what you want to know my relationship is like with Billy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Violent J, your punchline actually cut off. Can you repeat that?
Does that make any sense? He don't call me. I call him. You know what I'm
Got it.
saying?
Okay.
I don't know what that's about, but it's very rarely I'll hear from Billy. You know what I mean? But I'm always texting him. I'm always sending him, hey, check out this video. Check out our new episode. Check this out. Check that out. Check our card out. He don't ever hit me up like that. You know what I mean?
Sure. So speaking of old friends, I was, and I'm sorry I'm late to the party to learn this news, but I was absolutely fascinated that you've known Rob Van Dam and Sabu for 25 years. Do you
Bro,
think they would get involved in this new edition of Juggalo?
I was just talking to them both, not even 4 days ago. I talked to Sabu last night. I talked to Rob 4 days ago. No, they're too expensive. Those legends, man, those legends are getting real money. It's so weird, you guys, because nostalgia is such a big thing. Okay, like listen, like ICP is doing better now financially than we've ever done in our career. Even when we had 4 albums on the Billboard Top 200, we're doing better now. We're making more money per concert now. It's because of nostalgia. And these wrestlers are getting big money now. You know what I mean? Like for Rob to come in, that's big money. You know what I mean? More money than he was getting when he was on top. Because this nostalgia thing is huge now. And a lot of guys. I always say this, but it makes sense to me. A wrestler or a musician's career is like a banana. All right, it starts off hard and then it swoops down and sags and you suffer for a minute. Oh, you're not on TV no more. People will think you fell off or something, or you hit the indies and you reach this period where you're coming down. Maybe it seems like you're coming down in popularity, but then it goes back up, and it gets hard again, and because nostalgia rolls in. And I look at these guys, and they're getting more money now than they ever got. And they're to bring them in is a big deal now. And it's like Vanilla Ice. I give this example because it makes perfect sense. It's like when Vanilla Ice first came out, and then when we met Vanilla Ice, it's when everybody was making fun of him. You know, Vanilla Ice was opening for us at like 1,000-seat clubs. You know what I mean? But now Vanilla Ice is back to doing arenas again. You know what I mean? It's like he came out, he's solid, then he swoops down, and all of a sudden he's not doing so well. But now he's back to arenas again. It's nostalgia. It's the I love the '90s shit. Those tours, and it's happening with wrestlers too. There's guys that came out, made money, then they had to go through a period where they maybe didn't make as much money, but now they're making money again, depending on who they are. But nostalgia is a big thing for entertainers. It really, really is.
Cool. Speaking of nostalgia, I've always wanted to learn, and I never knew I'd have the opportunity to ask you directly, but the Great Malenko, is that a tribute to Boris Malenko?
I believe it is subconsciously. And the funny thing is, when I was in WCW, Dean Malenko came up and he's like, "What's up with that album name?" And I told him, I said, "Man, it's just coincidence." But what I think happened, because I never heard of the Great Malenko, but I think I heard of the Great Malenko, but didn't realize, like, I'm not familiar with the wrestler at all. I don't think I've ever seen him wrestle or anything. But I probably heard that name, the Great Malenko, and it resonated in my brain. And then when I was coming up with the name, it popped into my brain as this is what it is. And when that happens, when the Dark Carnival speaks to me, I don't question it. So at that point, when I was told the name of the album through my subconscious is going to be the Great Malenko, that's what it was going to be. It didn't matter after that. It didn't matter if that was a wrestler. It didn't matter because I'm not going to go against what the Dark Carnival is telling me our album should be called. You know what I mean? I listened to that voice, and I've listened to it our whole career. And so that's what happened. But when I told Dean Malenko, I think it was coincidence. I probably sounded like a real fucking idiot. And I realize that now. But I was telling him the truth. I think I probably picked it because it's too much of a coincidence. I think I heard the name several times, maybe growing up or on Nitro or something, and I just subconsciously didn't link the two at the time. But that's what the album's called, and that's what it is, and I'm still proud of it. You know what I mean?
I love it. I love the cover
But
art.
I'm sure he thinks I'm an asshole.
Let me turn it over to John.
Possibly the greatest lyrics ever are from the song F the World. Let me hear if you agree. F Disco, the Count of Monte Cristo, F Cisco, and Jack and Jerry Briscoe. What lyrics? I love that. You get some wrestling in there. I love that song.
Yeah, you guys cut out for a second there.
Oh, did you hear me? I was talking about the F the World.
Fuck Jack and Jerry Briscoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. We've had wrestling little lyrics in there from very beginning of our shit. You know what I mean?
Oh, always. You always had some great stuff on there. Great song. But before we let you go, where can everybody find JCW, Lunacy, the streaming, everything you got going on?
Right on YouTube, man. And soon to be on Title Match. Listen, we're proud to be on Title Match, and we're proud that they're proud to have us. And I think it's going to be a long, fucking fruitful ass relationship, man. But until it's up on Title Match, everything's up on YouTube right now. Just put in JCW Lunacy, and the episodes will pop right up.
One last thing I was just curious about, the Oddities. Did you like the Odysseys, not like the Odysseys? What did you think about that group in WWF?
Man, that shit was incredibly awesome. I think it was I thought it was a cool thing. I thought it was a cool faction. You know what I mean? I really did. We were happy to make that ring music. I remember when they called us, they were like, Jim Johnston called us from WWE Music. And he was like, we want you guys to make the music for this team we have called the Oddities, the Human Oddities. And we were like, do you guys know we wrestle? They were like, what? We were like, we wrestle. We're wrestlers. They did not know. They had no
Wow.
idea, you know? So they flew us to Stanford and we fucking wrestled for them. And then we ended up going to WWF and debuting at SummerSlam. They didn't even know we wrestled, man. That's so crazy. They had to be like, what? That had to be surprising, man.
Yeah, that is crazy. They got to know stuff like that. Jeez, you got the ICP. You got to know that. Before we let you go, just want to remind everybody, Psychopathic Records on YouTube. Check that out. Just type in